All right, so you're prepping for a job interview, and let's face it, everybody wants to just knock it out of the park.
Yep.
We're going to dive deep today into some advanced strategies for job interviews, the kind that'll really help you stand out.
Yeah.
So we'll uncover how to really decode what hiring managers are looking for. We'll talk about leveling up your vocabulary for interviews and even mastering the art of asking really insightful questions. The kind that leave them thinking, wow, this is the one.
Yeah, it's interesting how often people, just kind of focus on reciting their skills and experience.
Yeah.
But there's a whole other level to interviewing that can really make a huge difference.
Okay, I'm really interested to hear more about that.
Yeah.
What is this secret sauce that goes beyond just listing your qualifications?
You can think of it this way. Employers are kind of trying to solve a puzzle when they're hiring.
Okay.
They need someone who not only has the right skills, but also fits into their company culture.
Right.
Can tackle challenges effectively and communicates well with confidence and clarity.
So it's not just about checking boxes on a job description.
Right.
But really showcasing a much broader set of qualities.
Exactly.
I see.
They're assessing 4 key areas.
Okay.
Skills and experience, yes, but also cultural fit, problem-solving abilities, and communication skills. These are the elements that really show if you're the right piece for the puzzle.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And speaking of communication, one of the things we read about when we were prepping for this deep dive was upgrading your language. What exactly does that mean in the context of an interview?
This is where things get really interesting. The words you choose can have a huge impact on how you're perceived. So instead of using generic phrases like, I'm a hard worker, you can level up your language to something like, I'm highly self-motivated and consistently deliver high-quality results.
Oh, I see the difference.
Yeah.
It sounds so much more specific and impactful. Are there any other categories of these power phrases that we should be thinking about?
Absolutely. You can think about achievements. Achievement-oriented phrases like proactively implemented or spearheaded a project that resulted in.
Right.
Then there are problem-solving phrases, like streamlined processes to achieve or demonstrated resilience in the face of.
Okay.
And finally, don't forget about leadership phrases, like effectively mentored team members or leverage data to inform strategic decisions.
Wow, there's a lot to keep in mind.
Yeah.
But even with all the perfect power phrases, we still have those dreaded behavioral interview questions.
Right.
The ones like, tell me about a time you faced a challenge.
I know exactly what you mean. Those can be really daunting. But there's a technique that can help you structure your answers in a way that showcases your skills and experiences. It's called the STAR method.
Oh yeah, the STAR method. Remind me, what does STAR stand for?
It stands for situation, task, action, and result. And it's really a framework for telling a concise and compelling story that highlights your qualifications.
Interesting. So it's more than just stating facts. It's about weaving them into kind of a narrative.
Exactly. So let's say the interviewer asks, tell me about a time you improved a process. You would start by setting the scene, explaining the situation. Maybe something like, at my previous company, we were facing delays in delivering weekly reports.
Got it. So painting a picture of the context. What's next?
Then you explain your task. So as the team lead, it was my responsibility to identify the bottleneck and implement a solution. This clarifies your role in the situation.
Okay, so far so good.
Yeah.
What about the action part? Is this where I throw in some power phrases?
Yes, this is where you shine.
Okay.
By detailing the steps you took. You can say something like, I analyzed the workflow, identified the bottlenecks, and introduced an automated reporting system.
I see how the power phrases kind of naturally fit in there.
Yeah.
And finally, the grand finale, the result.
Exactly. You would wrap it up with something like, this reduced reporting time by 50% and improved accuracy. So using the STAR method ensures that your answers are clear, concise, and they're focused on the positive outcome, which is what interviewers really want to hear.
That's super helpful. But isn't there a risk of sounding robotic or rehearsed if we rely too heavily on this method?
That's a great point. The key is to use the STAR method as a framework, but still allow your personality and genuine storytelling abilities to shine through.
Okay, so it's more of a guideline than like a rigid script.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes me feel a bit more at ease. Now, even with the STAR method up my sleeve, there's still those tricky interview questions that feel like they're designed to throw you off.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Totally. Like, what's your biggest weakness?
Us.
Or why should we hire you?
Those always make me stumble. What's the best way to approach those kinds of questions?
Well, when it comes to those tricky questions, Authenticity is key, but it's also about strategy. So for what's your biggest weakness? You want to avoid cliches like I'm a perfectionist. Instead, choose a weakness that you've genuinely worked on improving.
So instead of trying to mask a strength as a weakness, it's about showcasing self-awareness and a growth mindset.
Exactly. You could say something like, I used to struggle with delegation, but I've actively worked on improving this skill by mentoring junior team members and assigning tasks based on their strengths.
Okay, so you turn a potential negative into a positive and highlight your commitment to development. I like that. What about why should we hire you? Any tips for making a really strong case there?
That's your chance to really shine. Don't just repeat your resume. You really want to connect your unique skills and experiences to their needs. Paint a picture of the value you would bring.
So less about I'm a hard worker and more about my background in data analysis and proven ability to streamline processes make me uniquely qualified to step into this role and contribute to your team's efficiency goals. Something like that.
Now you're talking. You showcased your understanding of their needs, and you've highlighted how your strengths align with their goals.
This is all about showcasing the value that we bring. But what about questions that feel a bit more personal? Like, why did you leave your last job? Those always make me nervous.
Keep it positive and forward-looking. It's not about bad-mouthing your previous employer, but about demonstrating your career aspirations. So you could say something like, I'm looking for an opportunity to grow professionally and contribute to a dynamic team like yours. Emphasize your excitement for the new challenges.
So framing it as a step forward, not a step away. What about that classic, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Question. How do you answer that honestly without sounding overly ambitious or like unrealistic?
You want to demonstrate ambition, but align your goals with the company's vision. They want to see that you're invested in a future that includes their organization.
Right, so it's not just about my personal aspirations, but about how those aspirations can actually contribute to the company's long-term success. Something like, I see myself taking on leadership roles and contributing to innovative projects within this organization. Would that work?
That's a great example. It shows you're ambitious, but also thinking about how you can contribute to their future.
Okay, this has been so helpful. I'm already feeling a lot more prepared to tackle these tough questions. But, it's not just about what we say, it's also about how we present ourselves, right? I've heard that nonverbal communication plays a huge role in interviews as well.
Oh, absolutely. It's like this secret language that can either enhance or undermine your message. You could have the most brilliant answers, but if your body language is screaming nervousness or disinterest, it can really sabotage your efforts.
Okay, now I'm a little nervous. What are some of the nonverbal cues that we should be really mindful of?
Well, eye contact is crucial. Maintain steady, natural eye contact with the interviewer. Don't stare them down or anything, but just show that you're engaged and confident. Posture is also important. Sit up straight and lean slightly forward. It shows interest and engagement. Slouching can make you appear disinterested or lacking confidence.
No slouching allowed. What about hand gestures? Should I just keep my hands glued to my lap?
Not at all. Hand gestures can be a really great way to emphasize points and add energy to your communication. Just make sure they're purposeful and controlled. You don't want to be like flailing your arms around or anything distracting.
Got it. A gentle breeze, not a hurricane. So we've got the confident posture, the natural eye contact, the controlled gestures. Anything else we should keep in mind?
Don't underestimate the power of a genuine smile. It makes you appear approachable, likable, and confident. And just try to be mindful of any nervous habits that you might have, like fidgeting with a pen or constantly adjusting your hair. Those things can be distracting and undermine your professionalism.
Basically, we want to present a confident and authentic version of ourselves.
Yeah.
Both verbally and non-verbally. No pressure, right?
Right. But remember, the more you practice, the more comfortable you'll become. It's about finding that sweet spot where you can be yourself while also presenting your best self.
One of the things that I always struggle with is that moment at the end of the interview when they ask, do you have any questions for us?
Yeah.
I always blank.
That's actually a golden opportunity.
Really?
Asking thoughtful questions not only shows you're genuinely interested in the role and the company, but it allows you to gather valuable information to help you decide if it's the right fit for you.
Okay, but how do I come up with questions that go beyond the typical, like, what's the company culture like? Or what are the opportunities for growth? I want to impress them with my insightfulness.
Think about questions that demonstrate your understanding of the role, the company's goals, and even some of the challenges they might be facing. For instance, you could ask, what does success look like in this role in the first 6 months?
Ooh, I like that one. It shows I'm thinking about how I can make an immediate impact.
Exactly. You could also ask about how the team measures performance and progress, demonstrating that you're results-oriented, or inquire about the company's goals for the next year and how this role contributes to those goals.
That's smart. It shows you're thinking long term and about the bigger picture. Any other suggestions for questions that might wow them?
You could ask about the company's approach to innovation, or their commitment to specific values like sustainability or diversity and inclusion.
So aligning my questions with my own values and interests.
Exactly. It shows that you've done your research and you're genuinely interested in the company's culture and mission.
This is giving me so many ideas. It's like a whole new way to approach that dreaded, do you have any questions for us? Moment. Is there anything I should avoid asking?
Yes, avoid asking about salary or benefits in the first interview unless the interviewer brings it up. Your focus should be on demonstrating your value and enthusiasm for the role.
Okay, so it's all about showing them that I'm invested in the opportunity, not just the paycheck.
Exactly. It's about finding a role that's a win-win for both you and the company.
Speaking of finding the right fit, how do we handle those moments when we kind of stumble in an interview? You know, those awkward silences or times when we completely blank on a question?
You know, everyone experiences those moments. Even the most seasoned professionals have interview hiccups. It's not about avoiding mistakes altogether, but about how you recover.
Okay, that makes me feel a bit better. But what's the best way to recover when you've totally flubbed an answer or just can't seem to find the words?
If you stumble over a question, take a deep breath and just politely ask to rephrase or clarify. Something like, "Excuse me, I think I might have gotten a bit lost in my explanation. Would you mind rephrasing the question?" It just buys you a few seconds to gather your thoughts.
That's a good tip. I tend to panic and ramble when I get flustered. What about those unexpected curveball questions that seem to come out of nowhere? How do you handle those?
Those are designed to assess your critical thinking skills and how you handle pressure. If a question throws you off, don't be afraid to pause and say, "That's a great question. Let me take a moment to think that through."
So it's okay to take a few seconds to kind of compose myself and gather my thoughts.
Absolutely. It shows you're thoughtful and composed, not prone to rash answers. You can even use that time to reframe the question in your mind and connect it to your skills and experiences.
This is so helpful.
Yeah.
I often feel like I need to have an immediate answer ready for every single question, and that pressure just makes me more nervous.
Interviews are a two-way street. It's not just about them evaluating you, it's also about you evaluating them. Pay attention to the company culture, the interviewer's communication style, and any red flags that might signal that this isn't the right environment for you.
So trusting my instincts and being honest with myself about what I'm really looking for.
Exactly. The right job is out there. One where you feel valued, challenged, and inspired.
All this talk about handling those tricky moments has reminded me of something we touched on earlier, the power of the follow-up. Can we dig into that a little deeper? It seems like such a small thing, but I've heard it can really make a difference.
You're right. A well-crafted follow-up can be incredibly impactful. It's more than just a thank you note. It's a chance to reinforce your qualifications and leave a lasting positive impression.
Okay, so how do we make our follow-up stand out from those generic thank you for your time emails?
Personalization is key. Refer to specific points that were discussed during the interview. For example, you could say, "I was particularly interested in your insights on the company's commitment to innovation in the area of," and then mention the specific area. It aligns perfectly with my passion for, and then state your passion.
That's a great tip. It shows that you were listening and genuinely engaged in the conversation.
Exactly. You can also use the follow-up to address any questions or concerns that arose during the interview.
So if there was a moment where I stumbled or maybe didn't articulate my qualifications as clearly as I could, I can use the follow-up to kind of provide some additional context or clarification.
Yes. It shows that you're self-aware and proactive. And remember, timing is crucial. Aim to send your follow-up within 24 to 48 hours of the interview.
Not too soon, not too late.
Got it.
This is like the icing on the cake, the final touch that can really make your application memorable.
Precisely. A well-timed follow-up can make all the difference.
Wow, this has been incredibly helpful. I feel like I have a whole new arsenal of tools and strategies to help me navigate the interview process with a lot more confidence and authenticity.
I'm glad to hear that. Remember, the more you practice and refine these strategies, the more natural and effective they'll become.
Speaking of practicing and refining, is there anything else we can do to really hone our interview skills and make sure we're putting our best foot forward? What about preparing for those behavioral questions? I know we touched on the STAR method, but I could use some more tips for crafting really compelling answers.
That's a great question, and it's definitely something we can dive into. One of the keys to really mastering behavioral questions is to not just recount events, but to showcase the skills and qualities that those experiences reveal.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So it's not just about what we did, but about how we tell it.
Exactly. Think of it this way. Facts tell, but stories sell.
I like that. So how do we transform our resume bullet points into these captivating stories that interviewers will remember?
Start by identifying the key skills or qualities that you want to showcase during the interview. Let's say you want to highlight your problem-solving skills. Think back to a specific situation where you successfully tackled a challenging problem at work.
Let me see. Oh, I remember this time when our team was facing a major deadline crunch, and the project was at risk of falling behind.
That's a great starting point. Now use the STAR method to structure the story, set the scene, the situation, explain your task or your role in the project, describe the actions you took to address the problem, and highlight the positive result or outcome.
So it would be like our team was facing a tight deadline, and as the project manager, I was responsible for making sure we delivered on time. I analyzed the workflow, identified the bottlenecks, and implemented a new communication strategy to streamline our collaboration. As a result, we not only met the deadline, but we actually exceeded client expectations.
That's a fantastic example. You've woven your problem-solving skills into this compelling narrative that showcases your leadership initiative and your ability to deliver results under pressure.
Wow, it really does sound so much more impactful than just saying I'm a good problem solver.
Exactly. Stories make your accomplishments come alive, and they help you connect with the interviewer on a much deeper level.
It's like giving them a glimpse into your work style and how you approach challenges.
Precisely. And remember, the best stories are those that are authentic, engaging, and relevant to the role you're interviewing for.
This is making me think about how I can reframe my experiences to highlight my unique strengths and personality.
That's the idea. It's about showcasing who you are as a professional and how you can contribute to their success.
I'm starting to see how storytelling can be a real game changer in interviews. It's like adding this whole new dimension to your answers.
It's a powerful tool that can really help you stand out from the crowd and leave a lasting impression.
Speaking of leaving a lasting impression, I remember you mentioned something about asking insightful questions at the end of the interview. Can we dig a little deeper into that? I'm always looking for ways to make a good final impression.
Absolutely. Asking insightful questions is a great way to gather valuable information, demonstrate your genuine interest, and leave a positive final impression. This is where you can really differentiate yourself.
I know we talked about asking about company goals and team dynamics, but are there any other types of questions that can really wow them?
One strategy is to tap into the interviewer's expertise. Most people enjoy talking about their work and sharing their perspectives.
So it's about turning the interview into more of a conversation.
Exactly. For example, you could ask something like, what are some of the biggest challenges you faced in this role? Or what excites you most about the future of this industry?
Those are great. They show that you're curious, eager to learn, and genuinely interested in their perspective.
Precisely. And you might be surprised by the insights you gain. It could give you a better understanding of the company culture, the role's complexities, and even potential opportunities for growth.
It's like getting insider information while also demonstrating my intellectual curiosity.
Exactly. Another powerful approach is to ask about the company's commitment to specific values, like diversity and inclusion, innovation, or sustainability.
So for example, if I'm passionate about sustainability, I could ask, how does the company integrate sustainable practices into its operations?
That's a great example. It shows that you're not just looking for any job, but one that aligns with your values.
It also demonstrates that you've done your research and are genuinely interested in the company's commitment to those values.
Precisely. It's about finding a company whose culture and values resonate with your own.
This is giving me so many ideas. It's like a whole new way to approach the "do you have any questions for us" part of the interview.
Remember, this is your chance to shine, gather valuable information, and leave a lasting, positive impression.
It's like the grand finale of the interview.
Exactly. Make it count.
I'm definitely going to be practicing my storytelling skills and brainstorming some really insightful questions.
Great. Preparation is key to feeling confident and ready to ace that interview.
Now, I know we've talked a lot about impressing the interviewer, but what about those moments when things don't go exactly as planned? Like when we stumble over a question or get hit with a curveball that we weren't expecting.
Ah, yes. The inevitable interview hiccups. Everyone experiences them, even the most seasoned professionals.
It's like that moment when you walk into a room full of people and they're all staring at you and you have no idea why.
Exactly. It can be unsettling, but the key is to stay calm, composed, and just remember that everyone makes mistakes.
Easier said than done sometimes, especially when the pressure is on.
I understand. But here's the thing. How you handle those moments can be just as impressive as your perfectly rehearsed answers.
So it's not about avoiding mistakes altogether, but about recovering gracefully.
Precisely. Let's say you stumble over a question. The worst thing you can do is panic and spiral into a sea of ums and us.
Oh, I've definitely been there before.
Yeah.
It's like your brain suddenly goes blank and all you can do is stare blankly at the interviewer.
It happens. Instead of panicking, take a deep breath, acknowledge the stumble, and politely ask to rephrase or clarify the question.
So something like, excuse me, I think I might have gotten a bit lost in my explanation. Could you please rephrase the question?
Perfect. It shows that you're self-aware, composed, and willing to ask for clarification.
And it buys you those precious few seconds to gather your thoughts and come up with a more coherent response.
Exactly. Now, what about those curveball questions? The ones that seemingly come out of nowhere and leave you feeling completely unprepared.
Oh, those are the worst. It's like they're trying to trick you or catch you off guard.
Sometimes it might feel that way, but often those questions are designed to assess your critical thinking skills, adaptability, and how you handle unexpected situations.
So it's less about having the right answer and more about demonstrating how you think on your feet.
Precisely. If you're hit with a question that completely throws you off, don't be afraid to take a moment to pause, reflect, and gather your thoughts.
So instead of blurting out the first thing that comes to mind, it's okay to say something like, "That's a great question. Let me take a moment to think about that."
Exactly. It shows that you're thoughtful and composed. You can even use that time to reframe the question in your mind and connect it to your skills and experiences.
It's like turning a potential weakness into an opportunity to demonstrate my ability to think critically and adapt to those unexpected challenges.
Precisely. Remember, interviews are a two-way street. They're not just about them evaluating you, it's also about you evaluating them.
That's a good point. It's easy to get caught up in trying to impress them that we forget that we're also trying to determine if this is the right fit for us.
Exactly. Pay attention to the company culture, the interviewer's communication style, and any red flags that might signal this isn't the right environment for you.
So trusting my instincts and being honest with myself about what I'm really looking for in a job.
Absolutely. The right job is out there. And it's one where you feel valued, challenged, and inspired to do your best work.
I'm feeling so much more empowered now. It's like I've been given this secret playbook for navigating the complexities of job interviews.
And remember, practice makes perfect. The more you practice your storytelling, refine your questions, and develop strategies for handling those tricky moments, the more confident you'll become.
You're absolutely right. I'm ready to tackle those interviews with a newfound sense of confidence and a whole arsenal of interview-crushing techniques.
That's the spirit. Now, there's one last piece of the puzzle that often gets overlooked, but can be incredibly impactful in setting you apart from other candidates.
Ooh, I'm intrigued. What is it?
It's the power of the follow-up.
The follow-up, like sending a thank you note?
Yes, but it's so much more than just a polite gesture. A well-crafted follow-up can solidify your impression, re-emphasize your value, and even address any lingering questions or concerns that the interviewer might have.
Okay, I'm all ears. What are some tips for crafting a follow-up that truly stands out?
First and foremost, personalize it. Generic thank you notes that just say thank you for your time don't really make much of an impact.
So it's about going beyond the basic thank you for considering me for the role message.
Exactly. Think back to specific points that were discussed during the interview and mention something that particularly resonated with you. For example, you could say, I was particularly interested in your insights on the company's commitment to innovation in the area of Tamil, and then you mention the specific area that they mentioned. It aligns perfectly with my passion for, and then state your passion.
That's a great tip. It shows that you are actively listening and genuinely interested in what they had to say.
Exactly. You can also use the follow-up to address any questions or concerns that might have arisen during the interview.
So if there was a moment where I stumbled or maybe felt like I didn't fully articulate my qualifications, I can use the follow-up to provide additional context or clarification.
That's a great strategy. It shows that you're self-aware and proactive in addressing any potential concerns.
It's like giving yourself a second chance to make a really strong impression.
Exactly. And remember, timing is key. Aim to send your follow-up within 24 to 48 hours of the interview.
So not too soon, not too late.
Right.
Just the right amount of time to stay top of mind without seeming too eager or desperate.
Precisely. A well-timed follow-up can be a powerful reminder of your qualifications and enthusiasm for the role.
I'm starting to see how the follow-up is like the icing on the cake, the final touch that can really elevate your overall impression and leave them with a positive, lasting memory.
Exactly. It's a small but significant gesture that can make a big difference.
Wow, this deep dive has been packed with so many valuable insights. I feel like I've been given a masterclass in advanced interview techniques.
And remember, the key is to practice, refine, and adapt these strategies to fit your own unique personality and the specific roles you're interviewing for.
You're right. It's all about finding what works best for us and putting our best foot forward.
And remember, every interview, whether it leads to a job offer or not, is a valuable learning experience that can help you grow and refine your approach.
That's such a great point. It's all about continuous improvement and becoming the best versions of ourselves, both professionally and personally.
Exactly. And with that in mind, I'm curious to hear what has resonated most with you from this deep dive. What strategies or insights are you most excited to implement in your upcoming interviews?
That's a great question. I think for me, the biggest takeaway is the power of storytelling and the importance of crafting these compelling narratives that showcase my skills and experiences in a way that's both authentic and engaging.
That's fantastic. Storytelling is such a powerful tool, and it's something that can be applied not just in interviews, but in all areas of communication.
I'm also really intrigued by the idea of asking insightful questions that tap into the interviewer's expertise and the company's values. It's like a way to turn the interview into a more engaging and informative conversation.
That's a great observation. Remember, interviews are a two-way street. They're not just about them evaluating you, but also about you evaluating them to see if it's the right fit for both parties.
I'm also going to be paying more attention to my nonverbal communication.
Yeah.
I never realized how much our body language can impact the interviewer's perception of us.
Nonverbal cues are incredibly powerful, and being mindful of them can really help you project confidence, engagement, and authenticity.
Overall, I feel so much more prepared and empowered to tackle those interviews head on. It's like I've been given a secret weapon or maybe even a superpower.
That's the spirit. And remember, the most important thing is to believe in yourself and your abilities. You've got this.
Thank you so much for sharing all of these incredible insights. I feel like I've gained a whole new level of interview mastery.
The pleasure was all mine. Now go out there and crush those interviews.
I will. And for those of you listening, I hope you found this deep dive as valuable as I have. Remember, the job search can be challenging, but with the right tools and mindset, you can achieve your career goals.
And never underestimate the power of preparation practice and a positive attitude. You've got this.
We'll be back next week with another deep dive into a topic that's sure to help you navigate the complexities of the professional world. Until then, stay curious, stay informed, and stay ahead of the curve. You know, all this talk about showcasing our skills and nailing those tricky questions has me thinking. Well, we spend so much time, focusing on how to impress the interviewer.
Right.
But what about figuring out if the company is actually a good fit for us?
That's such an important point. It often gets overlooked in all the frenzy of the interview prep.
Exactly. How do we go beyond just, answering their questions and really assess, whether we thrive in that environment?
It starts with self-reflection. Before you even step into an interview, take some time to really understand, what are your values? What are your career aspirations? What are you looking for in a work environment?
So it's like taking a personal inventory of, our professional selves, our strengths, our weaknesses, and what really matters to us in a job.
Exactly. The more clarity you have about what you want, the better equipped you'll be to identify opportunities that are truly aligned with your vision.
Makes a lot of sense. It's like having a roadmap for your career journey. Right. So you're not just blindly applying for any job. That pops up on your LinkedIn feed.
Oh, I love that analogy.
Yeah.
Think about it this way. If you don't know your destination, any road will take you there.
Right.
But if you have a clear vision of where you want to go, then you can choose the path that leads you directly to your goals.
Okay, I'm on board with the self-reflection part.
Yeah.
But how do we actually use that information?
Yeah.
To guide our job search and, make smarter decisions about which opportunities to pursue?
It's all about alignment. Once you're crystal clear about what you're looking for, you can target companies and roles that are more likely to be a good fit. And this means going beyond just the job title, really digging into the company's culture, values, and mission.
So instead of just, firing off applications, to every company that's hiring for a marketing manager, I should be more selective and focus on companies whose values and, work environment really resonate with my own.
Exactly. This way, you're not just looking for any job, you're looking for the right job. A job that aligns with your passions and aspirations.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's like dating. You wouldn't just go out with anyone who asks, right?
Yeah.
You want to find someone who shares your values and interests.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
It's so true. And when you find a company that truly aligns with what you're looking for, your enthusiasm and your genuine interest will really shine through during the interview process.
This is making me realize that self-reflection, it isn't just a one-time exercise,
Right.
but it's kind of an ongoing process
Okay.
of checking in with ourselves and making sure we're still on the right track.
Absolutely. You know your values and career aspirations, they might evolve over time. So it's important to continuously evaluate your goals, make adjustments as needed, and just ensure that your professional journey is fulfilling and aligned with your vision.
This deep dive has been so eye-opening. It's like we've gone beyond those surface-level interview tips and really delved into the deeper, more strategic aspects of career navigation.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a whole new perspective on how to approach the job search process.
That's wonderful to hear. And remember, the job search can be challenging, but it's ultimately a very rewarding journey.
Yeah.
It's about more than just landing a job. It's about finding a role that brings you both professional success and personal fulfillment.
You're so right. And with all these insights and strategies we've discussed today, I'm feeling more confident and equipped than ever to navigate this journey and land that dream job.
That's what I love to hear. Believe in yourself, stay true to your values, and never stop learning and growing.
Thank you so much for guiding us through this deep dive. I feel like I've really leveled up my career game today.
The pleasure was all mine. Now go out there and shine.
I will.
Yeah.
And to all of you listening, we wish you the very best of luck in your job search endeavors.
Absolutely.
Remember, you are capable of achieving great things.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep striving for your dreams.
We'll be back next week with another deep dive into a topic that's sure to help you navigate the complexities of the professional world. Until then, stay curious, stay informed, and stay ahead of the curve.